Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're comparing a Toyota RAV4 to a Honda CR-V. Now I'm comparing the gas powertrain to gas powertrain in this particular comparison. I'll have another comparison comparing the hybrid powertrain to the hybrid powertrain with both of the vehicles. Before we get to this video, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to the Ken Garf Honda here in Orem, Utah, and to the Brent Brown Toyota here in Orem, Utah for giving me some time with both of these cars. I'll include a link to both of their inventories in the description down below so you can check out what they have currently. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Under the hood, we have a turbocharged 1.5 liter 4-cylinder that goes through a CVT automatic. Fuel economy is 27 around town and then 32 on the highway, with power outputs being 190 horsepower and then 179 pound-feet of torque. Now, powering the RAV4 is a naturally aspirated 2.5 liter 4-cylinder that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 25 around town and then 33 on the highway, with power outputs being 203 horsepower and then 184 pound-feet of torque. Now, before we move forward with this review, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting with the CR-V, you can see they've gone for like a sporty angular design, and I think that's most prominent with how the headlights are shaped, and then you guys can see with the coloration on the grille here. And by the way, the red paint pops. Now with this RAV4, this one has the adventure package, and so you can see they kind of give it more of like an off-roader appearance there with the bottom that almost looks like a skid plate, right? But with the RAV4, it's got a boxier design, so they're kind of making the RAV4 look a bit more rugged, basically. But let me know which front end look you like more, whether it's the kind of rugged look of the RAV4 or the more luxury sport design of the CR-V. Now around the side here with the CR-V, our tire wheel setup is 235/60/18 in the front and over in the rear. You can see with the wheels, you got silver there for the coloration, and then I like the fender flare design. Notice how that bodywork continues along the side, and then notice the mirror caps are body painted, and you've got nice chrome trim around the windows. And then we'll take a few steps back here, and there's your full side view. Now with the RAV4, tire wheel setup is 235/55/19 in the front and over in the rear. You guys can see with the wheels darker with the coloration, and then this really shows how the RAV4 is kind of going for that more off-roader look. I mean, big chunky fender flares, you got the splash guards, and then you got the bodywork really chunky. And then here is your full side view with the RAV4. So taking a look at the key fobs, you guys can see functionality on them is not similar whatsoever, actually. They both have lock and unlock, but notice the Honda has that to pop up in the hatch remote start. Now with the Toyotas, if they do have remote start, it's built into the lock function. Now popping into the cargo space of the RAV4, you guys can see we've got a cargo cover built in from the factory, and I like this cover down here. Obviously it's going to add some practicality, and then you've got the spare tire underneath there. But yeah, definitely a wide hatch area, and then it is manual with the operation, so you just gotta plop. And then popping into the CR-V, it looks like the loading floor is a little bit lower than what you have with the RAV4, but it seems like the RAV4 is wider with the storage area, interestingly enough. A little 12 volt there in the back. But with the Honda, we're gonna be a little bit lazier, right? Because we just press a button and then it'll lower for us. And then when it comes to rear styling, you guys can see with the RAV4, kind of has a little bit of a boxier type design, and then look how aggressive those exhaust tips are at the bottom. Comparing that to the CR-V, it looks a little bit sleeker, I mean, especially with the taillight design there. Now inside of the passenger cabin with the RAV4, we've got good legroom here, little storage pocket on that side. I do like the seats in this package, I think they look pretty cool. And then look at the door panel, got nice soft touch trim on it. And then headroom back here, it's good. And then in the back of the CR-V, you guys can see the legroom back here, and then notice the vents and the USBs. And then I like the seats here, kind of more of a luxury look with the CR-V, and that continues under the door panel. So it's got soft touch just like the RAV4, but kind of has more of a sporty design with everything and more luxury, right? And then headroom back here, it looks like it's a little bit less than the RAV4. Now, before we move on to the next feature, we need to talk about today's video sponsor, Morgan & Morgan. Now, believe it or not, the modern world is actually a pretty treacherous place. Every single time you go out for a drive, there's a chance that you could get into an accident. You could be walking in front of a business, they could have something on the ground, and you could slip and fall and hurt yourself. And on top of that, you could just be doing your job, right? Like you always do, and something could happen and you could sustain a major injury. This is a topic that's very important to me personally because I drive about 4 40,000 miles per year for the channel. And so there are a lot of situations that I'm put in on a day-to-day basis where accidents almost happen. Now, knock on wood, nothing's happened for years, but there's always the chance that something could happen. And this is where Morgan & Morgan comes into play. They are America's largest injury law firm with over 100 offices, over 800 lawyers, and over 4,000 case staff that are all ready to help you out. And one of the best parts about working with Morgan & Morgan is that things like the negotiations, the court hearings, and the research associated with putting together a case are all free unless you win. And so if you're involved in some kind of personal accident, whether it be a car accident, a slip and fall accident, or an accident at the workplace, then you might want to get help from Morgan & Morgan. And on a little bit of a side note, don't feel bad about hiring an attorney. Remember that you're suing the insurance company that is worth billions upon billions of dollars. They can more than pay for the compensation that you deserve. So if you are injured in an accident, then you can check out Morgan & Morgan at www.forthepeople.com/Ben Hardy, or you can give them a call at #529, that is pound law. Again, www.forthepeople.com/Ben Hardy or pound law. Okay, so let's go over some key features here in the RAV4. First off, we've got a bunch of safety tech like adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, and then notice all the practical controls here on the steering wheel in general. Nice soft touch trim. And we'll go from that to the door panel. Again, got nice stitching and soft touch all over. You guys can see all the finishes on the controls. Again, more of a rugged type look. Blind spot monitoring with the mirrors too. And then with the gauge cluster, you've got that screen there in the center, but notice it's got pretty large analog elements. Bunch of different drive modes, and they'll kind of change the coloration a little bit, like the sport mode, for example. And then we do have just a regular backup camera with the RAV4. And then as for the rest of the infotainment system, so this is Toyota's smaller unit here. You can see it responds pretty quickly. It's got the shortcut bar there on the side, analog volume control. And then the dash is all soft touch, which I think is a nice thing to have. Got storage above the glove box, which is cool. And then the glove box itself pretty big. Dual zone climate here with the RAV4. And then we've got our heated seats. You got that for the stability control, and a little phone charging pad down below. Parking sensor, or for the parking brake rather, auto hold. And then this is your drive mode select, and you can see there's a bunch of on-road and off-road modes with the RAV4. Also have hill descent control, and then we got our shifter for the 8-speed. And then I like the cup holder design here. Pretty good storage space in the center console. Nice padding on the top, and then no sunroof or anything like that. This is a 2024 RAV4 Adventure. As equipped, this sticker's for $37,998. Now inside of the CR-V, we have like all the same safety tech as we have in the RAV4, like the adaptive cruise control, the lane keep assist, blind spot monitoring. But notice again how this kind of has more of like a luxury focus with the finish on everything. I mean, I feel like the steering wheel really shows that. And then you guys can see the design with the gauge cluster, similar to the RAV4. Partially analog, partially digital. We do have a bunch of different drive modes. Not a ton of off-road modes like the RAV4 because that's not what the CR-V is going after. And then, yep, backup camera just like the RAV4, so same there. Infotainment system, I mean, I feel like functionality is similar on it, response time is also similar. And then we do have soft touch on the dash with the CR-V. And then I like the vent design here. It's cool. And then we do have dual zone climate. We have heated seats, just like the RAV4. So all pretty straightforward with that. And I like, again, the finish on the controls. Wireless phone charging pad here. And then you guys can see in this little area, notice, just like the RAV4, it does have hill descent control, though, which is cool. Got some cup holders. Yeah, good storage space center console. They're very comparable. This is crazy, actually. And then good storage space in the glove box. Now, something to note is the CR-V actually has a sunroof. And this CR-V with this EXL package stickers for $37,940, so they are pretty much the same MSRP. Well, before we set off, visibility in the CR-V here. Both the mirrors, both the rest of the rear. Interesting to see how that compares to the RAV4. We'll be driving the CR-V first and then the RAV4 second. And again, I guess another reason to subscribe to the channel is I will be doing, with these two dealerships, hybrid versus hybrid with the two cars. I know that there's a lot of interest in those two powertrains because they kind of, their hybrids emphasize different things. It's very interesting. But let's focus on the cars at hand here. So first off, seat comfort in these CR-V is really good. I like the padding here. And I guess something else I gotta say, I know some people are gonna say this isn't super comparable with the packages. You're right. It would have been better if I got like an XLE RAV4, but just supply with both these vehicles is pretty small because they both sell really fast. So got to make do with what I have, but I feel like I was pretty fair because the MSRP prices are about the same. So kind of, you know, if you're going to spend the same amount of money, right, almost 38,000 bucks, do you go RAV4 or CR-V? So I think it's as fair as I can make it, right? So first off, with this 1.5 liter, smooth, it's got good torque. Now Orem, Utah, I think it's at like 4,000, maybe 4,500 feet elevation. I don't exactly know. I'm guessing it's closer to 4,000 feet. So, you know, it's not quite a mile up, but it's getting there. So having a turbocharged engine up here definitely helps out with just moving, right? You've got the extra, you got less power loss. It feels like you got more torque, basically, because of that. And, you know, some people complain about CVTs, but this one's very smooth. It's very smooth. So they've done a good job with that. And I like how this drives. Again, you can tell it's got an emphasis on luxury. It's comfortable. The ride quality, the seat's comfortable. And then again, the touch points here in the CR-V also have kind of more of a luxury look and feel to them. So yeah, short drive just to keep the video at a reasonable length. And I've driven the CR-V plenty of times. I have several reviews up with the 24 CR-V already. So definitely more of an emphasis on luxury. It's a great, you know, daily driver type car. So it'll be interesting to see how this compares back to back with the RAV4 and what they're kind of going for. So let's hop into the Toyota. Let's talk about visibility before we set off. Here's visibility over the hood. Both the mirrors, just do a blind spot monitoring. The rest of the rear. I'd say that they're pretty dang similar when it comes to visibility. The thing that always shocks me when I do RAV4 versus CR-V comparisons is just seeing how shockingly similar the RAV4 and the CR-V really are. And it's not like, you know, Honda and Toyota, right, both Japanese automakers, but it's not like they're built them in the same factory or anything. It's just, I think that the individuals that engineer the cars and design the cars for both automakers, I think they have a very similar kind of imagination, if that makes sense. So yeah, because like I said, they're so similar. And like, you know, Nissan's another automaker from Japan, and like it's crazy how different a Nissan is from a Toyota and a Honda. Huge difference. Mazda too, right? Anyways, different experience right off the bat. So with the CR-V, obviously the CVT, right, it's kind of, you know, it's just, you know, the transitions on that are going to be longer than the gear shifts you'll have with a torque converter automatic, well, an 8-speed torque converter automatic. So that, you know, the CR-V just kind of keeps revving up, whereas this, it's, you know, constantly shifting. It's really smooth. Just a different experience. So different experience there. When it comes to ride quality, I'd say they're both pretty similar. So doesn't really benefit one over the other. Seat comfort, I mean, again, super similar. It's not like, going from one to the other, I don't really feel like one seat is way more comfortable than the other. I will say I did like the material more with that CR-V, but again, this adventure package, these seats are supposed to be easy to clean. That's why they're made out of the material that they're made out of. So it's less about the look and feel and more about the practicality part of it. Now, this does have more power, but it's naturally aspirated. We're at higher elevation, so they don't feel too dissimilar in terms of the acceleration. I will say though, I do kind of lean more towards this torque converter automatic in terms of the feel of the acceleration with it. So there's that part. CR-V might have been a little bit quieter inside, but they're really close with the noise insulation. Man, these cars are so similar. It's crazy. It is crazy. So to sum things up, RAV4 versus CR-V, gas powertrain versus gas powertrain. And if you guys want me to do like a follow-up review with packages that are more similar, I can work on that. Again, I am limited by supply. These are both really hot cars on the market. They're both selling out really fast. So yeah, it's just putting this comparison together is hard enough, let alone getting, you know, like packages against each other. But I think that the, you know, decision between CR-V versus RAV4 is going to be less about this car is objectively better than that car because they're just different. This, again, has more of a focus on like rugged utilitarian design, not necessarily with the drive, but just in terms of the looks and the interior. And then the CR-V is kind of more on the luxury side. So it depends on what theme you like more. And then I guess, you know, some of you might like the feeling of the CVT more versus the torque converter and vice versa with that. So, you know, ultimately I would say you'd probably have to drive both of them to, you know, really decide in terms of the feel with the transmission difference between them. But yeah, they're super similar. As competitive as it gets, and yeah, I feel like the competition, Toyota versus Honda, it's a competition that's as old as time at this point. So let me know which route you'd go when it comes to the gas RAV4 and CR-V. Would it be, yeah, which one you'd go with? And that's all.